There's a group in Alaska that wants to make sure that we are ending our session promptly at 7:15 because they are going to do their screening right after at 10
Oh, great.
in Alaska.
Cool.
We'll be-
Okay, we are live officially.
There's a group in Alaska that wants to make sure that we are
Closing that. Okay, and now I'm going to update this link. So now everyone in our event page will see that we are live. Okay, it says server error. That's not right. Okay. Okay, Nicole, we are officially live on our event page. Hello, everyone. Can you still hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. All right, so we will be starting our Q&A at 6:30. So for those that are here now, you can add your comments for your Q&A for our Q&A on the event page. If you look on the right side of the page, it says submit your questions for the Q&A here, and you can press the comment button and input your questions. Alternatively, I sent an email about 15 minutes ago or so that has links if you want to go directly to YouTube and watch the live stream of this Q&A on YouTube. So you have two options. And then once we end the Q&A at 7:15, the video on the event page will switch back to the film. So if you haven't seen the film yet, it'll be back. All right, if you're in the room now, let us know where you're from. If you've finished the film, we're very curious to hear. And then we'll get started in about a minute. Hopefully the event platform, virtual platform worked okay for everyone. We are not event planners, but we are learning. So I know there's been a few hiccups in getting onto the event page. So please let us know your feedback because we plan to do more of these. So it's really helpful to know how your experience went. Nicole, you have a message from Elena. Hello, Elena. She says, great to see you, Nicole. Been a long time since Harborview Days with you. I'll be watching the film after the Q&A.
Oh, wonderful. It's good to have you, Elena. No, it was like, I don't know, at least 10 years ago that we worked together.
Hopefully we won't give any spoilers away in this Q&A.
Well,
So Nicole's alive.
yeah.
All right. So if you're just joining, thank you so much for participating in our virtual screening event. If you are on the Give Butter event page, you can add your questions to the Q&A. There's a comment box on the right side of the page. Otherwise, you should have received an email about 15-20 minutes ago, and it has a link for this live stream, which is also on YouTube. So you can watch it directly on YouTube, or you can watch it on our event page and submit your questions into the comments. So for now, I'll kick it off with a question. Nichole, I was trying to think of questions that we haven't talked about that I don't know the answer to. So this is exciting for me as well. Elena says YouTube is working well. Great. Yeah, I think that might be a bit of a better platform than GiveButter. I mentioned earlier, but sorry everyone if there's been some hiccups with this virtual screening. We're just getting used to planning these events, so please let us know your feedback. But let's dive into the Q&A. So Nichole, when you had your fall, you obviously, like many near-death experiences that people hear about, you had some pretty intense emotions. And so I'm curious if after the accident, you've been able to tap into any of those feelings or that shooting out love sensation, or are those emotions something that only really comes from a near-death experience?
Well, I would say, without trying to give away fun parts of the film, that there's something really powerful about thinking that you're going to die. I mean, it sounds morbid, but how many people get to get that close to death and then walk away? You know, there's something really powerful. It's this finite amount of time that you have left, and in those moments where you feel like this is the end, there's some pretty profound shift in your perspective about what is actually important and what doesn't matter anymore. And I think that it's such a gift for me to have had that experience. That being said, right after it happens, you know, you are in that moment and you're so inspired by what you learned through that moment. And you want to carry it through your everyday life and keep it fresh and keep it at the forefront of everything that you do. But life continues to move on, and we're all human. And I think it takes some intentionality. It doesn't matter what you've been through. There's nothing in life, I think, at least for me, from what I've experienced, that can change you unless you place intention behind it and you continue to practice mindfully putting it at the front of your memory so that you move through the world in a different way. So even though those gifts are there and I'm grateful to have them, I think it still does take some work in order to live in a new way.
Yeah, and I remember us talking about that a lot with the film, is how we wanted to make sure that we didn't show you as being enlightened after having this experience, because obviously that's not reality. And so you have these pockets of those same sensations, but I think, like everyone has those pockets. Maybe they're feeling really present or in tune with their loved ones, but then something pops up at work and a bunch of emotions come flooding in. So yeah, we worked pretty hard to make sure that Nichole was a real person. And it's funny how because we wanted to show the deep moments, we wanted to show your deep moments of reflection, but also those moments of challenge.
Yeah. And I think, that's kind of the power of film too, is that it has the ability to inspire you and help you to see things in a unique way. And we've all watched a film before and felt super powerful afterwards. And then, 5 minutes later, the cat knocks over a glass of water or something happens in it and you're taken out of that moment, and so I think we can all relate that life is not always about the experiences that we go through. It's about how we use those experiences moving forward.
Great. I love it.
Mhm.
See if we've got any comments in here. Gail Stewart says, "Hi, Nichole. Such a great production. Brought tears to my eyes."
Aw, good to hear from you, Gail. Thanks for being here tonight. Gail's another one of my nurse friends who has gone on to the next chapter of life and retirement and lovely things like that. So
Great. So everyone, please submit your questions in on the event page with Give Butter, or you can also do so on YouTube in the comments section. So we dove pretty quickly into the Q&A, and I realized we didn't quite do an introduction. Sorry, everyone. These virtual Q&As are a little weird to get into the flow with. But we've been working on the film for close to 6 years now. We've had a local screening in North Bend, Washington, a local screening in Seattle, Washington, this Saturday that sold out very quickly. So we ended up booking another pretty large scale venue for November 20th, also in Seattle. And then we're kind of just figuring out what is next for the film. We're planning a international search and rescue awareness event in 2024, where we're getting volunteer search and rescue chapters on board to host their own events so that they can fundraise, raise awareness, recruit, and we're putting together a marketing package to help empower them to put on these events. So that's kind of our plan. And we've also submitted to a bunch of film festivals, talking about maybe doing a tour. We're not really sure yet. We're just kind of seeing how things unfold, but it's definitely been an exciting journey. We've got a comment here that says, "As a fellow climber, along with my husband, we hear about fall and death and close call climbing accidents all the time, but not everyone survives as you have. Thank you for telling your story."
well, thanks for sharing that. We've had actually there was a couple in the audience at our last screening that was hosted by Snohomish County Search and Rescue. And this couple were in their 80s and they had lost a friend when they were in their 40s to a climbing accident, and had carried a lot of guilt and sadness in their heart ever since that accident, and didn't really know how to, begin to let some of that go. And they reached out and let us know that after watching the film and hearing my friend's perspective of what they went through during that time, that something in that message helped to heal them. So just help them move past it and get a little bit of comfort from, hearing someone else's gone through the same things that they experienced. So it is really unexpected the way that this film has touched so many people. A lot of unexpected ways that healing is happening, and we're just really grateful that we've been able to have the support that we needed to finish this film and get it out there so that people can benefit from it.
Definitely. And Nichole, I know that we've talked about before how this film has actually ended up being quite a healing tool for you. And so can you talk about that experience?
Yeah, I think, not all of my experience was rosy and wonderful. There was a lot that I lost in my identity. There was a lot of financial struggle. There was a lot of things that I was upset about. And I think that through the act of telling my story with Baylee and just intentionally looking for the positive that came out of it, I was able to rewrite that story. And, what I was focusing on became more positive. It became, the silver linings, I guess, were more bright. And now when I look back on this experience, I can't see it in the same way that I saw it 6 years ago when it happened. It to me now is something that I'm grateful for and that I cherish, and that is really who I am today. So I think that I can't be certain what it would be like without the ability to tell my story through this documentary journey. But I can only imagine that maybe I wouldn't have worked through it as deeply by now, you know. So I think it has really been a great gift for me to be able to um, just sit with everything and have so many questions asked of me. I don't know how many hours of interview footage Baylee and I have, but she's asked me just about every question in the book, and I've had to come up with answers for that and sit with difficult feelings and just kind of work through it. And it's been amazing.
And I don't know if you virtual viewers noticed, but in the film, Nichole actually has several different hair colors that we tried to adjust in color correction. And we actually, there is one interview that we tweaked slightly because her hair was like almost black. And it was funny because Nichole had gotten her hair done, was it the day before? The day before, and you brought in a picture of our interview, right? To be like, this is what I want to replicate. And then you walked in the door and I was like, oh no. Not that it didn't look good, but it made cutting those two interviews together a little challenging.
I know Baylee had to put up with so many different things about me. Not just that, but dealing with me during the whole COVID thing and being a nurse at the bedside and hearing all of, I would say there would be at least a half hour debriefing of what's going on in the hospital these days, and just me kind of working through that before I could even get to the nuts and bolts of what we're trying to focus on that day, So life just keeps happening, and this project has been the grounding kind of foundational thing that's always been the feel good that we could focus on through all of the other challenges that came at us through life in the last 6 years.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting. I actually had a conversation with my sister-in-law today that and I texted you about this week too, where I feel like one of the main themes of the film like actually really hit me this week, as in I started putting it into practice, and I felt like a huge physical shift, like a mindset opening, which is really interesting when we've been talking about these themes for years, but it is hard to put them into practice, and things take time. And I think that's also the power of film is, a lot of us have favorite films that we've seen and reflect on for years after. And so it takes a while for those messages to resonate and to be put into practice, but it's a pretty powerful thing.
Yeah. I think that, we went through all kinds of different messages that we wanted to have land in the film. We tried on lots of different themes, and there was just so many rich elements to the story that we wanted to share with everyone. And the one we landed on, I'm really happy with. I feel like it's a universal theme that everyone can get something from. It's something that I think everybody struggles with. And it's a good reminder that, that this is what really matters in life, and all of that other stuff isn't super relevant. It's, I think, good. But the one that I think Baylee's referring to is the title of the film before it became broken was Be Like Water. And just learning from nature and trying to emulate different qualities of the perfection that surrounds us, and just being inspired by that is I think praying in a different way. It's different than comparing yourself to another human being. I think, um, you can be more creative in the way that you think about how you're going to move through life, um, and how you can soften around the edges of the things that are hard, and just kind of, maybe instead of pushing hard against something, you just move around it, and you know the softness of water is what makes it the most powerful element. And that is what I was thinking about when I was falling, when I was saying be like water. It's more about a strength that I would gain from being soft and falling into it, and just letting go of, any sense of trying to control. And that's such a great thing, I think, to try to bring forward into your everyday life, if you are reminded of when you're trying to push too hard to let go, and just gain your strength from being, more malleable. Mhm.
Yeah, I love it. Every time I see a river now, I always just think of things a little differently, and just relate that to any kind of situation you're going through. Or there is a lot to learn from water. And I am sad that we couldn't stick with that title. We had to change it because there is a Bruce Lee documentary called Like Water. And we had a lot of people saying, oh, is this a documentary about Bruce Lee? So it just got to the point where we thought, I don't think we can stick with this title anymore. And so we renamed it maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think so. Probably.
And going back to themes, Nichole and I would have these crazy story sessions where there was one where, because we had a couple retreats throughout the years where Nichole would come over and stay for the weekend or a couple nights or whatever, and we would just work on the film nonstop. And we had our editor at some of these as well. And there was one where we just got down the wormhole of this idea, and we had all these note cards on the floor and this whiteboard, and like basically had re-edited the whole film in our heads. And we went to the editor, and he was like, no, this is not going to work. This is too much. And so we would just like go down these crazy paths, and just get sucked into certain themes. And I think that's what's really challenging about filmmaking is inspiration comes in waves, and that doesn't always mean it's the right choice. And sometimes it's so important to step back and say like, okay, what are we doing? What is the message? And also to get other eyes on it and other opinions. But yeah, it was definitely, editing was for sure the most challenging process of making the film.
Yeah, I think so. And I think like that's can be so relevant in your own life. It's the editing that happens that's the hard part, right? It's easy to come to these epiphanies and have these little magical moments where you think like, oh, now I get it. Now I can move through the world in a different way. But then it's like the reflection of, did I actually use that in my daily life today? And if I didn't, why didn't I? And, just uncovering the different layers of yourself. I think that's the most exciting part of life to me these days is the editing. So
So everyone, please submit your comments on YouTube if you're watching this Q&A on YouTube, or if you're on GiveButter, there's a little text column on the right side of the page where you can input a comment. Although this platform hasn't been the best, so I would recommend opening this video up in YouTube. If you just hover over the video on the GiveButter page, select the YouTube icon in the lower right-hand corner. So sorry, everyone. I know there's been a few hiccups with this virtual screening. We're still learning how to run these. So thank you for your patience. But on to the next question. So Nichole, what would you say was the most challenging part of this process?
Of making the film.
Yes.
I would say towards the end, when we were trying to come up with the end of the story, I feel like that was the hardest part for me because I felt like something I needed to come up with it myself. Of course, this is my life and I'm living it as we're going through all of this. But yet I'm like, well, the best ending of the story would be if Nichole actually does Wallace Falls, you know? And so like I would try to push myself in directions that maybe I wasn't supposed to go in, just kind of because I wanted to come up with the ending of the story. But it was also my life that was happening, you know? So it was this bizarre thing to kind of go through. But eventually I figured it out, you know. I think it's easy to get caught up in the momentum, and you know, we're all working so hard on this film, and if we don't have an ending, of course I'm the one that thinks I have to come up with something, you know. So I think it was just through giving myself empathy and compassion in that moment that I could let go of all of these expectations that I was placing on myself and just live my life, you know. But there was probably a I don't know 6-month period of time where I felt like, you know, I needed to do something spectacular for the end of the film.
Yeah, it was interesting as a filmmaker when you brought up doing Wallace Falls, because of course it was like, yes, that would be awesome. Like that would be a great, powerful ending. But also on the other hand, it's like, are you ready? Do you feel comfortable with this? Like no pressure from the film. So that was kind of an interesting scenario to be with. And I know like Nichole is so good at doing things for the sake of the film, like knowing how to build a story and knowing like what elements are needed. And so, yeah, you in your head were saying, well, this would be a good ending. But I'm so glad that we landed where we did. I think it's so much stronger and just contributes to our theme so much more than you accomplishing something physical like that.
Yeah. What's been the most unexpected thing that you've gotten out of the film, Baylee? Has it changed your life in any way?
Yeah, well, yes, in many ways. I really think like that moment that I had earlier this week has been the most profound, where I had mentioned earlier that film or the theme Be Like Water, like it really, I had a moment where it really hit me and I applied it to my life. And it was this feeling of like, oh, this is really what that means. And really it was about the film. We've been rushing to get the film done. And the version that you watched, it's like 98% done. It's not fully finished. And so the colorist and I were working late hours. It was so hectic to try and get this done. And I kind of realized I've been pursuing the path of the most resistance. I haven't been pursuing the path of least resistance. And so I finally was able to just let go and say, you know what? It is what it is. I'm not going to keep pushing something that doesn't want to be pushed. And it was a really incredible, freeing feeling. So I think being able to apply these learnings to my life has been huge. And then also just learning how to manage teams and manage people. That's something that I didn't really have experience with before this project. And I got a ton of experience from this. And so it's really challenging, and especially with a film that is very, very low budget. just keeping people inspired for so many years too is really challenging, keeping people inspired without being able to pay them. So it was really a crash course in how to manage different people.
Yeah, you've done an awesome job with that, Baylee. It's been incredible. I'm just really honored to be a part of it. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, it has been incredible.
Do you want to tell them about the different film festival news that you've been hearing lately, about the festivals that you've entered into?
Yeah, so we entered into a lot of different festivals. And so far we've been accepted into, I believe we're at 4 out of the 6 that we've heard back from, or three out of the 5, something like that, which is really exciting. So it's the LA Documentary Film Festival, the Las Vegas International Film Festival, and then a festival in New York. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's really weird to release something that we feel so proud of and just hope that other people are enjoying it too. Because, you know, we've somewhat been working in a bubble for the last however many years.
Mhm.
Oh, we have a question. Nichole, what are your thoughts / feelings now that the film is finished?
Well, I feel really glad that the film is finished, but also it's been such a great creative process that it's kind of bittersweet to have that part end and to be on to the next part of this. And it's a whole new skill set that I have to learn, honestly, because now we're into trying to market the film and, you know, going to film festivals and kind of selling our product, so to speak, really just amping up the excitement around the film so that when Search and Rescue uses it next year for their big fundraising event, it has all kinds of power and, you know, excitement behind it. So lots of people want to come to their fundraising event. So I'm excited that we're to this part where the film can be used for its intended purposes, but also, you know, it's a little bittersweet. I like the creative part. I loved sitting in Zoom meetings in my pajamas with Baylee for hours talking about, well, what if she did this? Well, what if we did that? And what would this look like if we, you know, just imagining up what the visuals would look like and, you know, all of that kind of thing. It's been so much fun. Oh, you're muted, baby.
Hello. What's interesting, and also sorry everyone, I just refreshed the page on GiveButter, and now I'm seeing more questions, so we will for sure get to those. But what's interesting about how Nichole and I have been working together is it's actually very, very unique from for a subject and a director to work as closely as we have. I think a lot of times when someone is having a documentary made about them, it's easy to get, you know, your ego is going into that. And maybe you feel hesitant about showing certain aspects of your life. But Nichole has zero ego. I don't know how else to say it, but like I've never met anyone else that has such a so just do it. Your every decision you make is because you want people to walk away with a message. You want people to learn. And so to be able to work with you so closely, and we're both just working to make the best film that we possibly can has been a really cool experience. So thank you for that. All right. So a question we haven't answered this directly, but Nichole, have you done Wallace Falls again?
I have not done Wallace Falls, and I'll tell you, it was a pretty intentional choice. I have been back in the canyons. I've done quite a few canyons since my accident, and I'm really getting to the place where I enjoy doing it again. But I decided I kind of wanted to wait on Wallace Falls, and really because I wanted to use this documentary as kind of the final exam, I guess, so to speak, to the internal growth that I was hoping to achieve. So I kind of thought, well, who gets the chance to have a documentary made about them? Practically no one. So I should use this as my chance to see, like, do I really not place my value on what others think of me anymore? Can I really go in front of a whole bunch of people and say, no, I didn't do Wallace Falls and still feel okay about myself? And so I did. I waited, and at our premiere event, I got up on the stage and I told everybody about this idea I had to not do Wallace Falls so that I could see if I had this growth or, whatever. And I thought I was going to get this amazing, deep, like, understanding of myself out of this information. And I can say 2 weeks later, I'm not feeling like I got the life-changing answer that I was hoping for. I can say that, yeah, I was able to stand on the stage and say that, and I feel no reason to feel, I feel strong in my decision to not have done it, but I guess what I've uncovered is that instead of doing Wallace Falls, like the opportunity to build my ego, what I've done is I've just kind of transferred that onto this other thing, which is not doing Wallace Falls has given me the opportunity to build my ego. So it's kind of funny. Yeah. And I think, the title of our film, Where the Rope Ends, is just, it's so hard for me because I don't think the rope actually ever ends, I guess, is what I'm saying, is that you keep trying and you keep learning more about yourself and you keep uncovering these different layers of who you are. And just when you think you're getting somewhere, then you peel back another layer and you see that there's so much more work to do, so I think that the real journey is about being good with all of that, just not worrying about if you achieved anything, but just being curious about what you uncover.
That's very interesting. Okay, Baylee, what was your process in figuring out what questions to ask Nichole for the documentary, and how did you choose which ones to show? Oh, assuming they didn't all make it to the film. Oh my gosh, yes, we have hours and hours and hours of interview footage. So, wow. What questions to ask Nichole? I mean, we probably have done, you and I have probably done 6, 7 interviews that have lasted about 2 to 3 hours, which is very long for an interview, but Nichole is a pro in front of the camera. You could just keep going and going. Normally, like in advertising, for example, an interview might last like 30 minutes to maybe an hour. So yeah, we're having some long discussions. And I think just as I learned more and more about Nichole's stories, certain story beats stood out. And so the questions would evolve after every interview. And I think that's why documentaries take so long, is there's so many different things to dive into. And then we would start editing and we realized, you know what, we need some stuff about your backstory, or we need a bit more in the third act after Nichole's fall. We need more of a story arc where we need to show a rise and a fall. So then going into the next interview, figuring out like, what were some of those rise moments? What were some of those fall moments? So really just understanding, it started as like getting to know Nichole's life, getting to know her experiences, and then it evolved into really understanding the story and what we needed. Baylee, when you did all the reenactments, did the volunteer rescue crew come back to do some of this doc? So all of the helicopter footage was filmed with Snohomish Search and Rescue. So they're all volunteers, real volunteers. And then all of the night rescue footage was just friends and people that saw our random post on Facebook. So I know there's actually been some real search and rescue people that have called out that footage because they're like, search and rescue volunteers wouldn't, they would have big backpacks and they wouldn't be wearing those clothes. So yes, you caught us. Those are actors in that scene. But everything else besides the night footage is actual Snohomish County search and rescue volunteers who are amazing. All right, now, oh wow, sorry everyone, got 2 platforms. I don't want to miss your questions. Some positive words. Thank you everyone so much. Nichole's story is potent, but also held within the context of all you have done to envision, create, produce, and midwife this film. What has this meant to you or empowered you in unexpected ways? That one for me or for you? Sure.
But I would say the unexpected ways that it has empowered me is that I never really put any emphasis or onus behind how empowering it is to just be able to share your life. And never really thought about it. Like I wasn't hiding my life from anyone, but it's kind of freeing to just have a platform where you can say, this is who I am. And Baylee's done such a great job. She's so easy to talk to, and she's made me feel like it's an important message to share. So I would say that was unexpected to me because I really went into this intentionally to raise money for search and rescue. I was like, I'm going to share my story if you think that is what is going to get people to donate to search and rescue. So that was the only reason why I was doing it. And I'd say I didn't really realize until this week, actually, because we hadn't shared the film with anyone yet, just how nice it is to have shared my story and to have people who know these parts of me and to have that be something that touches them.
And thank you, Jill, for saying all those nice things. I think how this has affected me in an unexpected way, besides what I mentioned earlier, is mine is more ego driven. But I think it's as identifying as a filmmaker, it's hard to be working on something for so long and not be able to show it off. And especially something that I feel really proud of, but I'm just kind of in this hole and no one's seeing anything. And it's almost like releasing this, I feel like I was able to give myself a badge of like, okay, I am a filmmaker now. So that was something that I didn't really expect, but has been a nice surprise. Let me refresh the page. Keep adding in your questions, everyone. Nichole, do you have chronic pain from the accident?
I do have chronic pain from the accident, but I've kind of decided that after a certain age, everybody in their life wakes up in chronic pain. So mine just came a little early. And I have been able to really keep that under control and manage it with dietary changes and just taking care of myself. And I think it's been a really good gift for someone who probably pushes a little too hard. it makes me have to slow down and take care of myself and rest occasionally. And that is a good thing. I mean, I never thought that it was a good thing. I thought that was a waste of time, kind of. And now I see the value of it. And I kind of enjoy life a lot more now that I have this thing that helps me to slow down and sit down every once in a while.
Yeah, I really like your line in the film about, and we dove at one point when we were editing, we really tried to dive into this theme and it didn't work out as much, but about redefining pain, or really like you can redefine any concept, redefining what happiness is, what success is, but you have a line that we kept in there about how you had to redefine what pain is for you. Thought that was interesting.
Yeah, learn how to have a new relationship with pain. And it was this thing that, you want to push away and you want to cover it up and you want to take some Tylenol or whatever it takes so that you can keep going. And if I did that at a certain point in my recovery, if I covered it up with some Tylenol, I could get through, but the next day I wouldn't be able to stand up, and I think pain is there for a reason. It's there to talk to you and tell you that you're doing too much, and so respecting that and being okay with being human and not being a machine that can just keep going and going was the lesson. And I, enough days on my back after, overdoing it, and I had to learn the lesson. And like I said earlier, I really value that at this point in my life.
Thank you everyone for your kind words in the comments. Hello, Alex. Elena, you say, I bet climbing gyms would host a screening event / support the film. They're in nearly every big city these days. I know the owner of Edgeworks and could connect you with him. Yes, that would be great. We're still, again, like really figuring out what our next steps are, and we are exploring the idea of a tour. And so like if you have any kind of contacts or any kind of ideas, or someone an organization that might want to host, sponsor, whatever, a screening, please reach out to us via email. We don't know where this is going to go, but we have big hopes, and we're going to just keep trying all kinds of different things and putting a lot of work into it. What other questions do we have? I think we're actually about at time. Oh, one more. How is the ketamine? Ooh, a ketamine question. How is the ketamine they gave you the same or different than the ketamine used in therapy assisted ketamine in the mental health realm?
Well, the slog of ketamine that I got was, it was intentionally a very large dose to try to dissociate me from my body, and have that amnesic effect. So this is a much larger dose than what you would see being used in a therapeutic way in those settings that you're referring to. I would say it's, at least in my experience as a nurse, it's a really powerful tool for intense events that you need people to forget about. At the dosage that I received it, I literally woke up a minute later and I looked at Sandy and I said, Sandy, what is going on around here? She's like, you're being rescued, Nichole. And I said, you mean I don't have to get up and walk? I don't have to walk out of here? That's just how, dissociated you become after receiving that kind of a slog of ketamine. I had no idea where I was and what was going on.
Crazy. And a lot of people have asked this question, if the helicopter footage in the film is real, and yes, it is real. It was very exciting to have discovered that and be able to utilize that footage. All right, so I think we will wrap up. So if you are on the Give Butter page, this live Q&A video is going to be replaced with the film again. So if you haven't watched the film, dive right in. And just a couple points of information. So we have a Seattle screening coming up on November 20th. So tickets are now available for that. And we're going to be running a competition where you can share that with your friends, or anyone that might want to attend. And then we'll be picking names and giving out free merchandise. We just created our merchandise and it's really cool and we're really excited about it. Also, you can follow us on social media. It's at Where the Rope Ends. If you have any search and rescue contacts that might be interested in utilizing the film for our international event next year, please forward them to our website and they can sign up there. And I'm seeing some ideas about Mountaineers as a venue or the rock climbing gyms. Like, again, if you have any ideas or connections, please reach out over email. So thank you so much. Oh, and we would love to receive a written review from you. So also feel free to send that via email. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. And the film will be back on the Give Butter page.
Thank you so much, everybody, for spending your time with us tonight and for watching our film.
Thank you. Goodbye.